What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. And in this video, I'm going to tell you about some crazy things that Marines did while I was into service. And the first one I'm going to get into is the Corporal X at Headquarters Battalion, 1st Marine Division. While I was at Headquarters Battalion, 1st Marine Division, I wasn't just a supply officer, right? I got shuffled over to the S1 section because they didn't have an officer there and they needed someone to backfill until the monitor figured themselves out, sent the replacement down there, and then they sent me back over to supply. However, until that happened, while I was in the S1, I took over as the officer in charge. If you guys don't know, the S1 is the administrative section. They do all the paperwork, they red pen the shit out of your stuff, they make sure that the citations on the awards and make sense. They do all kinds of other stuff to include legal, DTS, the Defense Travel System, making sure people get reimbursements for traveling, their per diem, their meals, and all that stuff, right? Well, when I got moved into that section, I had a master sergeant, an E8, all right? And this master sergeant had 22 years of service. Guys, when I was a second lieutenant, I was 22, turned 23 while I was at Headquarters Battalion, 1st Marine Division. This one right here. This guy was old enough to be my dad, and I was supposed to be his boss, right? So that was kind of challenging within itself. But Corporal X, pulls me. This is my first like 2 weeks in the department. Pulls me into the office with the master sergeant, sitting on the couch, and he starts sobbing and giving us a sob story, crying about how his mom is dying of cancer and he needs to go home to Colorado to take care of her and at least for a week in order to make sure he's okay, his mom's okay, blah blah blah. This was like on a Monday. You have to, for emergency leave, he wanted to take emergency leave, it has to get approved, right? We could approve it, but the command, I was still new, so I was like, hey, the command needs to approve this stuff, especially because this guy did legal at the unit. He did the legal. He was our legal clerk, and well, we get his emergency leave approved, right, by the command, as all good officers and staff and SEALs do. They take care of their Marines. The master sergeant is like, sir, this is not uncommon. She's been diagnosed with cancer already. We've already sent him multiple times before on emergency leave when his mom gets really sick. I'll vouch for the Marine. Got it. I'm with you, master sergeant. I'm not gonna argue with you or anything like that. So Monday evening, about 6 p.m., I get the thumbs up. We get him approved. We get him all situated to go on emergency leave to Colorado to take care of his mom who's dying of cancer. All right. Tuesday, he departs, right? Goes on his trip. He's driving the whole way there, apparently. Well, Friday rolls around, and Sergeant Major storms into my office, and he's like, "Hey, sir." I was like, "What's going on, Sergeant Major?" And he's like, "What was that Marine? Where was he going to? The one that we sent on emergency leave?" I was like, "He's going to Colorado. It's about a 13-hour drive or something like that to get from where we were to where he was going, or 16-hour drive, I think. And he's supposed to be there Wednesday, the latest." Well, this was Friday. He was like, "Oh, that's very interesting." And he shows me his phone, and he was like, "This is a Snapchat video from your Marine, Corporal X, in Vegas last night, Thursday night." And I'm like, "Oh, very interesting. This freaking corporal is at a club in Vegas because it has the location Vegas. This freaking guy couldn't get any smarter. Vegas." And in the video, they're at a club. He's like drinking from his like margarita or whatever he was drinking. He's making out with this girl, and they're having a great time. It looks good, right? Keep in mind, this is a Marine that was supposed to go to Colorado to take care of his mom who's dying of cancer, and sat on this couch right here with me and Master Sergeant crying and sobbing, and hey, I need to go home ASAP, like my mom is really sick. And we're like, okay. So then Sergeant Major's like, yeah. So this is where he was. So when he gets back, he's about to get fucked. And then he was like, oh, hold on. You see this other person, this female that he's making out with? Guess who that is? And I was like, I have no idea. He was like, that is Corporal Y from the other section over here. And we were just like, oh my freaking God. And it gets better. The Corporal Y that was making out with this Marine, Corporal X, my Marine, was married, and her husband was a staff NCO at another unit. And I was like, oh my sweet Jesus. You literally can't make this shit up, guys. You literally cannot make this shit up. Well, the Marine returns back from his emergency leave from Colorado, and Sergeant Major pulls him in. Master Sergeant pulls him in, and Master Sergeant is pissed because he's like, I just vouched for you in front of the new officer, and you made me look like a fucking idiot. And so that same day, they start his paperwork to NJP him, and in non-judicial punishment, for those of you that don't know what NJP is, and in NJPs they can do several things like bring you down from your rank. They can like if you're a corporal, they can bring you down a lance corporal. They can take your pay for like they can take half your pay for 2 months, up to 2 months. They can put you in like not quarantine, but yeah, they can bring you out of the barracks room, and so they can monitor you and watch you and all this stuff. So for a certain period, there's all these things that they can do. And well, this Marine, not only was he punished, but he was also sent away from our section. He was no longer the legal clerk because he had access to all kinds of sensitive data. And if a Marine is getting punished, we don't want him to have access to that kind of stuff, especially if he's already in trouble himself. Well, he gets sent over to our facilities department where he cut grass the rest of his time in the Marine Corps until we kicked him out. Or I think he didn't get kicked out. He got punished, and then he transitioned out. He couldn't re-enlist or anything like that. So, yeah, that was Corporal X, Stellar Marine.